The sky has long served humanity as a source of inspiration.
There's a UFO hovering above Toronto.
Teaching us to appreciate the beauty of fleeting moments and prompting us to reflect on the meaning of life. At the same time, it holds countless mysteries that even the most renowned scientists have been unable to unravel. In this video, I will talk about the strangest phenomena and anomalies observed in the sky over the past 25 years. One night, residents of several regions of Kenya woke up because of a bright flash that illuminated the entire sky. Rushing to their windows, they saw a huge flaming mass burst out of the clouds and move toward the horizon at tremendous speed. At first, it behaved like a meteor burning up in the atmosphere. However, then something happened that no one has been able to explain to this day. The fiery sphere with a long, blazing trail suddenly turned around and flew upward. For several minutes, it darted from side to side and then abruptly faded away. This incident seriously alarmed many Kenyans, since according to ancient legends of the Kalenjin people, such strange celestial lights foretell nothing good. Experts, however, advise them not to worry, suggesting that it could have been one of the rare atmospheric phenomena. On 4th of July 2025, many local residents and visitors gathered on the coast of the resort city of Imperial Beach in California. They had come to watch preparations for a festive event in honor of Independence Day of the United States. Suddenly, a tourist from Spain who was filming the scene on her smartphone pointed to the sky. Everyone standing nearby looked up and saw that the sun was rapidly and rhythmically pulsating. The flickering lasted about 10 seconds, but that was enough to cause feelings of anxiety and confusion. Later, a video capturing the mysterious trembling of sunlight appeared on Reddit and several popular social networks, sparking heated debates between supporters of the celestial dome theory and those who prefer a scientific worldview. The discussion was long, but none of the sides involved managed to explain this phenomenon. A young man from a Belgian province decided to go for a bicycle ride after sunset. Riding onto a highway leading to his city, he saw high in the sky a row of bright lights that seemed to be placed along the edge of a huge disc-shaped object resembling an alien spacecraft. When the cyclist entered the city limits, the lights began to move farther away and after a couple of minutes disappeared beyond the horizon. The sight terrified the young man, but he managed to pull himself together and record everything on video, which he later posted on Twitter. Viewers of the footage split into two camps. Some suggested that the author had captured effects of a light show or a rare optical illusion, while others insisted on the UFO version. Which of them was closer to the truth? We will never know. On 5th of April 2019, residents of the island of Andøya in Norway witnessed the appearance of several colored spots in the sky, vaguely resembling the northern lights typical for their region. The spots rapidly increased in size, and then 4 round spheres appeared next to them. At first, they shimmered in different colors, disappearing and reappearing. Then each of them emitted a bright beam, which later turned into a barely visible haze. The footage of this incredible phenomenon stirred public concern. People demanded explanations from the authorities, but they refused to comment. Later, scientists stated that a space rocket had flown over the island of Andøya and released residual fuel into the upper layers of the atmosphere. This was said to be the reason for the appearance of multicolored spots of various shapes in the sky. Although this explanation seemed quite natural, the locals did not believe it. In 2022, a small black cloud resembling some kind of fantastical substance was spotted over the coast of Sydney in Australia. Some social media users jokingly compared it to dementors from the Harry Potter films, but the author of the video did not share their amusement. He claimed that this ominous black haze looked neither like a cloud nor like a gas accumulation, hovered motionlessly over the water, and did not react to gusts of wind. After about 5 minutes, it dissipated, leaving the observers bewildered. One participant in the discussion noted that the black haze resembled panis, a type of cloud formation. Such clouds always have a ragged shape, a dark color, and are considered harbingers of storms. But if that was the case, why did it not sway in the wind? There is still no answer to this question. A man relaxing in the backyard of his home after work noticed two bright spheres in the sky. They flickered rapidly and at times flared so intensely that they illuminated the entire street. Without hesitation, he grabbed his smartphone and began recording them. After a few seconds, one of the lights went out, followed shortly by the second. The next morning, news reports stated that two unidentified objects had flown over the city. It was assumed that they were meteorites that burned up in the atmosphere before reaching the Earth's surface. However, the man who captured them on video disagreed. In his opinion, he had either witnessed alien spacecraft that departed as soon as they realized they had been spotted, or highly advanced aerial vehicles designed for high-altitude reconnaissance. In 2015, a flying object shaped like a gigantic sphere with a black matte surface was spotted over the capital of Mexico. Its most striking feature was a set of elongated appendages on its lower part, resembling long, flexible legs. A man who witnessed the appearance of this sphere in the sky noted its resemblance to a squid or an octopus. The footage he published online spread instantly across social media and even appeared in Mexican news outlets. Ufologists and supporters of alien conspiracy theories claimed that it showed one type of extraterrestrial drone. Scott Brando, who has devoted his life to debunking UFO myths, stated in response that it was merely a mylar balloon filled with helium. He may be right, but many disagreed, as similar objects had reportedly been seen in other regions of the country 2 days earlier. Once, a resident of one of the northern states of India decided to film a thunderstorm accompanied by thunder and lightning on his phone. At one moment, the sky was lit by an extraordinarily bright flash, and for a fraction of a second, an image of the god Shiva appeared above the horizon, seated in a lotus position with his hands folded on his knees. At first, the man doubted what he had seen, but after rewatching the recording several times, he realized it was not an illusion. A few days later, the footage appeared online and attracted widespread attention. Most viewers confirmed that the figure of Shiva was indeed visible in the video and considered it a good omen. Others did not take the clip seriously and suggested that the author and his supporters were experiencing pareidolia, a phenomenon in which the human brain seeks familiar images where none actually exist. On the 27th of February 2018, at approximately 5 in the morning, viewers of the television channel Fox 6 News saw live on air how numerous bright lights appeared over Milwaukee in the state of Wisconsin. They were extremely luminous, moved chaotically, and stayed tightly grouped together. Later, a video showing the strange spots swirling against the night sky appeared on the Twitter page of a Los Angeles news outlet, where in less than 1 day, it gathered more than 2,000 comments. Subscribers proposed many explanations, ranging from light emitted by drones to spirits and extraterrestrials. Sometime later, representatives of Fox 6 News joined the discussion, stating that it was not mysticism at all, but a flock of seagulls captured by ultra-sensitive studio equipment. This explanation struck many as rather absurd and only strengthened their belief in ghosts or aliens. In Florida, customers at one of the night gas stations, standing in line for fuel, noticed a massive triangular-shaped craft in the sky. It hovered motionless almost directly above them and glowed with numerous blue lights that pulsed rhythmically as if transmitting signals. After a few minutes, a nearly identical but smaller aircraft appeared beneath it, and then both objects vanished in an unknown direction. The following morning, social media reported that a tactical reconnaissance aircraft known as the TR-3B Astra had flown over the state. The next day, all original videos showing the mysterious craft disappeared from local online communities for unknown reasons. Only screenshots and short clips remained on the internet, making it difficult to determine what exactly flew over Florida that night: a mythical aircraft, a UFO, or something else entirely. These frames capture a dark substance smoothly flying above the ground. If you examine it closely, you can see a flat tail, several tentacle-like appendages at the front, and protrusions on the sides resembling wings. Unfortunately, the author of the video does not specify where, when, or under what circumstances he encountered this mysterious object. One can only speculate about what it might have been. Some internet users compare it to a kite, a controllable traction kite that allows a person to move quickly over water or snow. However, no one can logically explain how it flew against the wind, why it pulsated, and why it rotated like a living creature. According to other assumptions, the video shows a bundle of balloons, a homemade radio-controlled flying device, a cutting-edge scientific development, or even an alien spacecraft, which is difficult to believe. On the 3rd of August 2023, residents of the capital of Luxembourg observed the appearance of a bright green beam descending from the sky to the ground above the city. It was so massive that it could be seen even at the borders with neighboring countries such as Belgium, Germany, and France. Videos and photographs capturing the beam from different angles flooded social media and attracted conspiracy theory enthusiasts. They convinced others of its extraterrestrial origin and urged people to start preparing for a meeting with aliens. However, their assumptions turned out to be false. The green beam did not belong to extraterrestrial civilizations, but was launched to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the founding of the Trump Group brand, and according to the organizers' idea, symbolized a Jubilee candle. Industrial equipment from the company Lightline was used to create the so-called super laser. It was this company that effectively gifted the residents of Luxembourg a spectacular sight that many mistook for an alien invasion. In 2018, during a live broadcast on the Fox News channel, an episode occurred that went down in television history as one of the most mysterious. While the anchors were discussing the news of the day, an unusual creature appeared behind them, vaguely resembling a humanoid. It had unusually large proportions for a human, a torso, lower limbs, and arms with webbed extensions. The humanoid hovered in the sky outside the studio window for about 1 minute, and surprisingly, neither the camera operators nor the hosts noticed it. The viewers, however, saw everything and even managed to record this moment of the broadcast. Later, the footage ended up in the hands of experts, who confirmed that there were no signs of editing. Representatives of Fox News did not comment on the incident and refused to provide the original recording of the broadcast, which gave rise to numerous rumors and theories. According to one version, the channel's management knows that an alien creature was captured on camera, but someone ordered this fact to be hidden from the public. In 2013, in Chile, tourists heading toward Mount Fitzroy recorded an elongated glowing object hovering at a great height above the ground on a smartphone camera. The bright spot in the sky resembled a common atmospheric phenomenon known as a halo, but it lacked the characteristic ring. Its elongated shape and unusually sharp outline suggested that it could be some kind of flying craft. After a while, the object flared up and disappeared in an unknown direction, confirming the travelers' suspicions of a UFO. Later, alarming messages from local residents appeared in news groups. According to them, the brightly glowing object had flown over several settlements located near Mount Fitzroy on that day. Some eyewitnesses claimed that it had a metallic body reflecting sunlight and powerful engines producing a loud hum. However, this information proved insufficient to determine who or what it belonged to and what its purpose was. On the evening of the 28th of July 2023, an event occurred in London that was discussed on social media for a long time. A man returning home by car noticed numerous red lights above the city. They moved slowly across the sky, sometimes merging together and sometimes breaking apart into dozens of fragments. One might have thought it was fireworks or a drone show, but it was raining that day, and it was unlikely that anyone would organize an aerial spectacle in such weather. Other residents of London also saw these strange lights. Some of them noted that they heard a faint noise coming from the lights, causing an oppressive sense of anxiety. City authorities did not respond in any way to the numerous requests from residents to explain the situation, while scientists suggested that the lights appeared above the city due to reflections of streetlights off raindrops in the sky. In 2014, clouds resembling enormous numbers with clear outlines appeared over Austin in the state of Texas. Local residents watching them from the ground experienced genuine shock. Religious people saw them as a sign from above, while amateur ufologists were convinced that it was an encrypted message from aliens and began trying to decipher it. It later turned out that the strange clouds were part of an art show called Pie in the Sky, organized by artist Ben Davis in collaboration with the advertising aviation company AirSign. Several airplanes participated in creating the aerial installation. Early in the morning, they flew over the city and left a smoke trail in the sky in the form of the first 100 digits of the number pi. This explanation reassured many impressionable residents of Austin, but some still cannot believe that it was not a supernatural phenomenon, but a product of human creativity. On the 27th of June 2025, at around 9 o'clock in the evening, Colleen McCormack from Massachusetts was relaxing in a hot tub in the backyard of her home. At some point, she looked up and saw something resembling a space rocket falling from the sky. Although the sight deeply frightened her, she managed to pull herself together and record what was happening on her smartphone. Immediately after the flaming rocket disappeared from view, Colleen posted the video online. It quickly spread through local social media and attracted the attention of journalists. Representatives of the Boston 25 channel interviewed the woman and showed her footage in a news broadcast. Soon, the story reached the attention of the United States Federal Aviation Administration, the Department of Defense, and even NASA. According to official reports, the areas where the unidentified flying object might have fallen were thoroughly searched, but specialists found neither debris nor traces of an explosion. In 2024, footage appeared online showing a dark angelic figure with enormous wings suddenly taking off above the sea and disappearing into the clouds a few seconds later. The author of the video claims that before he started filming the creature, it was emitting a golden glow and slowly hovering above the water, as if it were searching for something. Most participants in the discussion did not believe in the authenticity of the video, since the angelic figure flickers, becomes distorted in places, and differs greatly in sharpness compared to other objects captured by the camera. This and many other details strongly suggest clumsy editing. However, there were people who disagreed with this conclusion and continued to insist that a real angel was captured in the video. According to them, its appearance foretells serious changes, and the fact that it was recorded on a mobile phone is an incredible miracle. On the 19th of September 2017, the most destructive earthquake in the history of the country occurred in Mexico City. It claimed the lives of 225 people and left thousands of families without a roof over their heads. When the first tremors began, one local resident pulled out a smartphone to capture the shaking buildings. At some point, thick black smoke appeared above the roof of one of the high-rise buildings, which a couple of seconds later turned into a human silhouette. This video deeply affected Mexicans. They saw in the dark haze Santa Muerte, the Holy Death, a guide between the world of the living and the world of the dead. Scientists, however, refused to believe in mysticism and called this case a vivid example of mass pareidolia, a rare psychological phenomenon in which people begin to see familiar images, especially human figures, in clouds, shadows, or smoke. In February 2022, surveillance cameras installed on one of the houses in the Mexican city of Ciudad Cuauhtémoc captured a large flock of yellow-headed blackbirds that suddenly, and for no apparent reason, plunged to the ground. The birds crashed at enormous speed into fences, rooftops, and asphalt, causing most of them to die instantly. Wildlife experts who arrived at the scene were unable to determine the true cause of the birds' deaths. Biologists believe that the birds may have been electrocuted by power lines or poisoned by toxic fumes. Local residents have a different version. According to them, at the moment of the tragedy, an unidentified flying object was seen in the sky, emitting a quiet but rather irritating sound. It is possible that this object caused the birds to lose their orientation and fall. In the middle of 2017, the powerful tropical cyclone known as Irma struck the Caribbean islands, causing significant economic damage to Cuba, the Dominican Republic, Haiti, and a number of other countries. When the hurricane subsided, the internet was flooded with videos showing houses destroyed by the elements, fallen trees, and overturned cars. Among them was an unusual clip, supposedly recorded at the peak of the storm. It showed a massive cloud resembling a human head. Within 2 hours of publication, it was viewed by about 500,000 users, and the number of reposts exceeded 230,000. Some viewers saw the face of a demon in the strange cloud, others saw an angel or God himself, while some dismissed the recording as a fake. Meteorologists, in turn, advised people not to look for hidden meanings, noting that what many perceive as mysticism is often nothing more than a natural phenomenon. Around 2019, during a heavy rainstorm over New York, a fairly large object with glowing eyes appeared in the sky, its silhouette resembling a child's rubber duck. When lightning flashed, it was clearly visible against the dark clouds and terrified everyone who witnessed it. The object hovered motionless above the city for less than a minute, and then vanished without leaving a trace. The only evidence of its existence consisted of dashcam footage and recordings from outdoor surveillance cameras mounted on one of the city's buildings. These clips appeared online the day after the storm and sparked heated discussions on social media. Most commenters concluded that the footage showed an atmospheric optical phenomenon. However, others supported the extraterrestrial hypothesis, although they could not explain why an alien craft would have such a bizarre shape. One evening, teenagers from Alabama came to a local lake after sunset to relax. Suddenly, they saw about 20 semi-transparent figures resembling dementors from the films about the boy wizard Harry Potter. The apparitions emitted a bright blue glow and hovered in the air, smoothly drifting from one shore to the other. The sight was both frightening and mesmerizing. Almost all of the witnesses' smartphones shut down at that moment, except for one boy whose phone continued to work, allowing him to record everything on camera. A couple of minutes later, several powerful flashes of light appeared on the opposite shore, illuminating everything within a radius of several dozen meters. When darkness returned to the lake, the ghostly figures vanished. The young people spent a long time wondering whether they had seen mystical beings or an incredibly impressive light show, but they never learned the truth. In the summer of 2021, visitors to the tourist complex known as the Blue Lagoon in Russia discovered a huge black slab hovering above the trees along the shoreline. It made no sound and did not move, only occasionally trembling, while its surface was sometimes covered with faintly glowing mysterious patterns. A few seconds later, numerous small copies of the slab appeared nearby. They circled the main monolith at varying speeds, sometimes almost freezing in place and sometimes rapidly scattering outward. A couple of days later, similar objects appeared in another part of the country, causing panic among the local population. To this day, no one knows where these slabs came from or where they later disappeared. Some suggest that they were part of a scientific experiment or that extraterrestrial beings were using them to collect information about our planet and its inhabitants. In Thailand, during a river cruise, tourists saw a large number of bats swarming near a strange, pulsating black cloud in the sky. On closer inspection of the footage, it becomes apparent that this eerie mass consists of tiny particles whose nature is difficult to determine. Those who witnessed the scene were frightened and asked the cruise ship's crew to leave the area as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, the video recorded by an eyewitness cuts off at the most intriguing moment. Due to the incomplete footage and its low quality, it is difficult to understand what the travelers actually saw. Chiropterologists concluded that the mysterious cloud was in fact a large swarm of insects, possibly leafhoppers, which are a favorite food of bats. However, they were unable to explain why these winged creatures chose to hunt during the daytime, since they usually forage after nightfall. In August 2025, a bright, elongated object resembling a huge glowing cloud was spotted over Florida. White spheres moved chaotically around it, then within seconds lined up in a row and disappeared. At that moment, people who were outside noticed that their phones began rebooting on their own, while mobile service appeared and vanished intermittently. In addition, many vehicles experienced failures in their onboard electronics, leading to traffic jams and several accidents. The unidentified object hovered in the sky for about 3 minutes before abruptly vanishing. Video recordings clearly showing it were sent for expert analysis, but the examination yielded no results. In order to calm the public, authorities announced that it was not an aircraft, but a rare atmospheric phenomenon. Needless to say, very few people believed this explanation. Several years ago, foreign social media platforms were buzzing with footage showing a cluster of devices resembling miniature drones. The person who shared the video claimed that they had been circling above a city for a long time, occasionally flashing as if photographing the area, and then grouped together and flew off toward a forested zone. Participants in the discussion tried to determine where exactly the recording had been made, but the author refused to provide additional details, citing concerns for the safety of loved ones. This decision led many to believe that the story was fabricated and that the video had been created using neural networks or video editing. However, some commenters were deeply alarmed, suggesting that these small objects could belong to hostile intelligence services or even extraterrestrials. A resident of the island of Haiti, who decided to take a walk around the city at the end of a workday, encountered an inexplicable phenomenon. Almost directly overhead, a large black disk slowly flew through the sky, closely resembling an alien spacecraft. Beneath it, moving at the same speed, was a dark cloud whose shape constantly changed. At first, it seemed like exhaust fumes, but it was unclear where they were coming from or why they did not dissipate in the air. Despite the terror that gripped him, the man managed to pull out his smartphone and record the UFO on camera. The video appeared on his Twitter page the same day and received numerous responses from locals. Some commenters claimed they had seen similar objects in various parts of the island, mainly in mountainous regions far from populated areas, but chose not to speak about them, believing that few would take such stories seriously. While working in a field, a resident of one of the Chinese provinces noticed a bright streak in the sky that continuously moved from left to right and was partially hidden by clouds. It resembled an ordinary contrail left by a passing airplane, but before its appearance, the man had not seen any aircraft. About 1 minute later, a white haze appeared next to the streak. It suddenly increased in size and then quickly dissipated, which is not typical for clouds. The farmer admired the unusual sight for a long time and then went home, as it was time for lunch. When he returned to the field, there was nothing left in the sky. Later, he shared the video recorded that day on social media, but none of those who watched it were able to explain what the streak was, if it was neither a plane trail nor one of the varieties of so-called cirrus clouds. These shots disturbed hundreds of internet users. They depict a humanoid creature with enormous jagged wings hovering high above the ground. Those who believed in the authenticity of the video saw an angel in it, possibly a harbinger of important events or catastrophes. Others were skeptical, considering it nothing more than clever editing. The version involving computer graphics sounds more plausible, but the video appears too well crafted, which is uncharacteristic of fakes. For example, if one looks closely at the clouds, it is possible to notice how perfectly the shadows from the flying creature fall upon them. Such a graphical effect is difficult to achieve, especially for beginners in video editing, so one might wonder whether this clip is actually not a forgery. About 1 year ago, a resident of the United States of America, while driving along a rural highway, noticed among the clouds a figure resembling Jesus Christ with arms crossed over the chest. It remained visible for about 3 to 4 minutes, after which it slowly dissipated. Being a deeply religious person, the man took the cloud-formed image as a sign from above and decided to record it on his mobile phone to share it with others. The video soon appeared online and attracted the attention of a specialist in atmospheric physics. The scientist believes that the footage shows an unusual combination of clouds and sunlight, in which the author perceived a heavenly sign. Although this explanation seems logical, many rejected it and continued to believe that the American had truly witnessed a divine miracle. On the 22nd of May 2025, an incredible event occurred in Toronto. At night, a triangular object unlike any aircraft created by humans hovered over residential neighborhoods. It was enormous, had sharp outlines, and bright lights glowed at its corners. The woman who recorded it on her smartphone noted that it made no sound at all. This complete silence caused her great anxiety and fear. The footage, clearly showing a UFO, was published in several local Facebook communities and became the most discussed topic of the past month. Some users suggested that an alien spacecraft or a secret military fighter jet had flown over the city. Skeptical commentators rejected this idea, believing instead that Toronto residents had seen the effects of a light show, the lights of a tower crane hidden by fog, or an ordinary drone. Several years ago, tourists and residents of Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, who had gathered near Mount Corcovado to admire the evening scenery and the city's famous landmark, the Christ the Redeemer statue, witnessed the appearance of a huge blazing sphere in the sky. It was moving toward the ground and left behind a long, fiery trail, leading many to mistake it for a meteorite. Suddenly, the object made a smooth turn and flew toward the statue. Upon reaching it, the sphere circled once and disappeared. The next day, footage of this phenomenon was published on social media and even shown on television. Later, scientists explained that it had merely been a weather anomaly, unusual but completely harmless. However, those who were near the Christ the Redeemer statue that evening did not believe this explanation and continued to insist that they witnessed something mystical. In the spring of 2023, cyclists traveling from Villa Elisa to Punta Lara decided to shorten their route by taking an abandoned road in La Plata. By midnight, they reached an exit onto a busy highway where they stopped for a brief rest. At the moment the entire group halted, 2 bright red spots appeared high in the sky, positioned close to each other. At first, the young people mistook them for aircraft signal lights, but they could not understand why they were not moving. One of the cyclists managed to record the glowing spots a couple of minutes before they disappeared and shared the video on his blog. The next morning, several people from different regions of Argentina contacted him. They claimed they had also seen the mysterious lights, but knew nothing about their origin. According to one conspiracy theory, the glow came from searchlights mounted on the hull of an alien spacecraft. Whether that is true, we will probably never know. These shots were taken by Russian climbers high in the Altai Mountains. They show 3 elongated triangular objects resembling arrowheads. According to eyewitnesses, the objects hovered silently in the sky for 8 to 9 minutes, slowly rotating around their own axis, and then literally dissolved into the air. Immediately after returning to base, the author of the video began searching for information about similar cases and came across a post by an unknown Danish fisherman. The fisherman claimed that in 2016, he had personally seen a huge triangular alien spacecraft hovering above the surface of the sea. As proof, he attached photographs of the object, and it indeed looked very similar to what the climber had seen in the mountains. Unfortunately, it was not possible to learn more about this case. The fisherman had not appeared online for a long time, and commenters concluded that the images he published were fake. In Savannah, in the state of Georgia, 2 strange incidents were recorded within 2 hours. First, locals noticed something in the sky resembling a creature with long legs that slowly flew among the clouds and periodically changed its shape. A little later, in the same area, people saw an elongated grey object hovering high above the ground. It moved almost silently and periodically blinked with lights, as if conducting aerial photography. Residents of Savannah still argue about what exactly they saw and wonder whether the 2 phenomena are connected. State authorities confirmed that reports of unidentified objects had been received by emergency services, but they currently have no information about where they came from. Presumably, these were hostile reconnaissance drones, although their movement was not typical for unmanned aerial vehicles, as eyewitnesses confirm. On the 17th of May, 2006, members of the ufological club called Nuevo Leon, Mexico, filmed a dark figure flying high above the ground over Mount Mitras, located near Monterrey in Mexico. Because cameras widely used at that time did not provide high image detail, the footage turned out to be low quality. However, even in the blurry frames, when zoomed in, a humanoid creature can be discerned. After the recording was made public, locals began spreading rumors about a witch living on Mount Mitras. Several years later, the story attracted the attention of video editing specialists. After studying the footage, they found no signs of manipulation, but they also could not confirm that it actually depicted something resembling a human. It is quite possible that it was a drone or an amateur flying device. Nevertheless, the population of Monterrey continues to believe in the legend of the mountain witch to this day, and eagerly tells it to visitors. During a severe thunderstorm that broke out over Los Angeles in California, several tourists went out onto a hotel balcony to film the lightning illuminating the entire city on their mobile phones. At one moment, a bright flash illuminated for a fraction of a second a motionless silhouette of a dragon-like creature with a long neck and enormous wings against the night sky. When the lightning flashed again, it was no longer visible. The video appeared online the same day and immediately became the subject of intense discussion. Social media users were divided. Some insisted that it was real proof of the existence of a mythical creature, while others argued that it was a storm cloud of an unusual shape that the tourists mistook for a dragon silhouette. As for meteorologists, they were unable to explain the event from a scientific standpoint and concluded that the video had been created using computer graphics. On the 3rd of September 2013, in the Canadian city of Vancouver, a baseball game between the teams called the Vancouver Canadians and the Everett Aquasox was taking place at Bailey Stadium. Approximately in the middle of the game, people sitting in the stands noticed an object high in the sky resembling a flying saucer. It hovered above the stadium for a long time and blinked with numerous lights. Videos and photos showing the alien craft instantly spread across social media and gave rise to rumors about aliens who had allegedly come to watch a baseball game. However, it soon turned out that the UFO was actually a drone launched by the McMillan Space Center to draw attention to the completion of renovations at the city planetarium. The news debunking the version of a mysterious spacecraft disappointed some locals, but they still remember this amusing story with warmth. In April 2024, residents of Texas were observing a solar eclipse when they suddenly saw a black entity fly over their heads at enormous speed. One eyewitness managed to capture it on camera and then posted the video online in hopes of finding an answer to what it was. Unfortunately, none of the participants in the discussion knew the nature of this frightening entity. However, there were people who claimed to have seen a similar dark apparition in other states and even far beyond the borders of the United States, in Turkey, Iraq, and China. Internet users put forward various hypotheses, ranging from a fast, large bird to a military fighter jet or a reconnaissance drone. However, the author of the video rejected all of them. He believes that it was a ghost from a legend about a mysterious shadow from the Colorado River, with which local fishermen frighten tourists. In the early 2000s, climbers who traveled to conquer snow-covered peaks in Tibet managed to film an incredible phenomenon. From behind a nearby mountain slope, a creature resembling a dragon from Chinese mythology suddenly emerged and swiftly disappeared into the clouds. According to them, it had a large serpentine body of a dark color with scales shimmering in the sunlight, a large head, and eyes glowing like burning embers. If the stories of people living in the central part of the Tibetan plateau are to be believed, it was a spirit guarding the mountains. Encountering it is a rare stroke of luck and is said to foretell major changes in life. Of course, the dragon version sounds somewhat absurd, but lovers of mysticism trust it completely. Scientists, on the other hand, treated the video recorded by the climbers skeptically and have no doubt at all that computer graphics played a role in this case. And that brings me to the end. If you enjoyed this video, do not forget to like it, subscribe to the channel, and press the notification bell. Your activity is the best reward for me. Thank you for your attention. See you soon. Bye.